that goes through technology. That includes the sports communications that is under sports with us, the number 50 years old, the number 60 years old, the number 30 years old, that our household has been threatened with for years. I became familiar with that process with sports programs that were playing on television. And every time that I press pause nowadays on the microwave, then I was receiving communications through different communication areas that includes technology. That by the time that I put my food into warm it in the microwave, and then the old people has warmed their foods in a pot on the stove, and they had the microwaves because the microwaves was then sometimes blown up because there's now things like silver and things that can't go into the microwave about it. And when I learned that function in my house was running under the sport function in sports communications, on the athletic field, the person runs and the person is outside. Technology is connected to different parts of the universe, and technology, the microwave communication, and the sports sweaters. And then I switch the microwave on, and the communication comes, press one, and I press okay one time, and it's 1 point something something, and the 100 years generation in that. And under the 1 point something something that I press on the microwave, then I sometimes get the communication to now press pause, and then I sometimes get the communication that it's now got to do with the sports and to do with my brother that is 50 years old, and with all the things that South Africa now also knows about technology, about the sports fields, about television, about people's lives, about a 50-year process and a 100-year generation process, about the rugby teams and the rugby jerseys and the numbers on people's doors. And when those numbers were knocking at our door, and my brother Richard Philander was young and nothing happened, and he made his own choices, and it starts with communications from one country to the other, from one microwave to somewhere it communicates, and the digit you press pause on, and sometimes I press pause on the 50, and sometimes the communication goes somewhere where people are the whole time trying to monitor and oppress your house with communications, and then they want to find fault with your house itself. And when I learned that there was nothing that humanity can argue with our Ma'ana Philander's house about, and that we were now really not in aggression, in oppression, in poverty, and wars, and everything that humanity functions under the office. And when they functioned under the office and they couldn't find anything wrong in our Mama Philander's house about it, and they try to force themselves to now manipulate the communication process around certain people and around certain functions. And the world had poverty, and poverty functions in a certain way, and the world sometimes want to force a poverty process on a household. And when you learn that such communications include your personal day, and that you cannot really not only function on a business, on a social media page, my AWOKH business, and then I only want to now be offered under such a communication. And then we acknowledge us as people. I acknowledge our household circumstances. I acknowledge what our household have been challenged with over the years. I acknowledge the circumstances and processes on earth. I acknowledge that our children are at secondary school and they are really wanting to go to university and be fine on earth, then wanting to be oppressed under processes that some people now really had their eyes on us. And the world really sometimes are just jealous, and jealousy sometimes looks like poverties and wars and a lot of aggressions. And then the such communications, I really am really giving my opinion on every part of any communication that comes to our house and that goes from my house, that sometimes are aggressive to us, the people in the house. And that as human beings managing all those processes, we should really always try our best to not manipulate the person involved in all of the processes. Humanity should really learn to not manipulate the human being itself. Because everything humanity nowadays own and want to implement is to manipulate the one human being, the other. And we should really educate ourselves to not want to manipulate someone else, right? To not want to abuse a Mama Anna Philander's house, to not want to abuse our country. Because most of the processes that humanity are functioning on are processes that are abusive to the human being itself on earth. And those processes comes from technology and from a lot of communications in the universe that technology functions from. And that's where I'm at towards this explanation, King.